Good evening, friends. I welcome you all on behalf of the Unique Academy in today's webinar, which is a part of series of webinars that we are going to conduct in this week from today onwards till 3rd of January. Dear friends, the plan of these webinars is intended to discuss some aspects of UPSC prelims being more particular. But before we go into webinars and today's webinar being more particular, let me share you one slide. And I would like to introduce you with a new batch that we are coming up with, particularly focusing on prelims 2021. Just allow me a minute to share the slides first, and then we will discuss the content and the batch and details of the batch. So friends, as you all can see, this is a new batch we are coming up with. This time we have, considering the fact that last year or this year, which is about to end very soon, have been a real turmoil for most of us. We have been waiting for new hopes. So friends, those who are planning for 2021 prelims, UPSC prelims, we are coming up with a specific special targeted batch for UPSC prelims, wherein as you can see on your screen, we are going to have 100 days, or we are allotted 100 days of lecture schedule, wherein every day there will be two lectures, each carrying 2 hours. So it becomes 100 days, 200 lectures, and 400 hours total teaching. Dear friends, this particular batch aims specifically for those students, those who have been preparing for UPSC prelims or UPSC mains for last 1 or 2 years, and those who have been giving attempts, however, they couldn't make through prelims in their previous attempts. This batch is aiming at polishing their efforts furthermore, ensuring the fact that they get through the prelims, right? There are going to be certain aspects of their preparation which needs a proper care and attention, and the batch is actually planned accordingly. As you all can see, 100 days is basically for a fresher maybe a very less time. However, we have planned our lectures in a manner that will accommodate the fresh students as well as those who have been preparing for 1 or 2 years for UPSC prelims. So far as features of the course are concerned, as you can see, there are going to be exclusive strategy sessions which we are going to plan for every subject. The expert faculties will be discussing about strategy to deal with that particular subject precisely from the point of view of UPSC prelims. Apart from that, there will be intensive and exhaustive syllabus coverage as well as teaching. We won't be running through the syllabus. We won't be trying to make it a haphazard way of teaching. We will be certainly ensuring the fact that every day in every session you get quality material and quality teaching, as well as deliberations and enough discussions on basic concepts as well as its application, again from the perspective of prelims. We are also going to ensure the fact that every lecture brings you certain amazing insights into question papers and how do we actually deal with the questions of a particular subject, where we have also, as a part of teaching, we have also planned that previous year's question papers can also be discussed in due course of time of 100 days. Dear friends, not just that, but along with that teaching, intensive teaching, we will be also ensuring the fact that we give you ample amount of questions for practice. So the test series which we are coming up with from 4th of January will be included in this particular batch, and the students, those who will be enrolling for this batch, will certainly be provided with the benefit of that particular test series. Every test series will be further explained through different lectures, recorded lectures, which will be provided as an assistance to you all, those who would be coming and registering for the batch. Next, of course, there will be a personal mentoring. As you all know, one model suits all is never a true story for UPSC. Every single individual, the one who comes and attempts, has a different potential, has different difficulties, and we will also ensure that we are personally mentoring you for your own, for your difficulties and maybe for your strong points. Next, CSAT has been really a game changer since its introduction, no doubt. However, recently we can see that CSAT paper is becoming, that is part 2 or paper 2 is becoming little difficult for some students, even those who are coming from technical background and fairly good the urban background. So for those students, those who find it little bit difficult to deal with the CSAT, we are certainly going to have ample amount of CSAT sessions wherein the concepts will be taught, wherein the basic ideas will be given, some clues, some shortcuts will also be taught. And apart from that, there will be questions which will be discussed, which will be given to you for practice. And of course, the test series includes CSAT question papers as well. Next, as you can see, as a part of batch, as we are going to give you or going to allow you to appear for the test series that we are going to start from 4th of January, that test series will have all India ranking. And so you can actually locate yourself and your level of preparation, right, through that particular test series. Then, of course, topic wise notes, it is something which is really very essential, at least for current affairs. So friends, we will be certainly ensuring that every month we will be giving you sufficient amount of notes, current affairs, as well as of basic study or basic topics. We have a plan of covering the current affairs right from June 2020 till next year, till let's say April or May. And there will be an extensive coverage of different topics of current affairs, and there will be discussion in detail on different topics, particularly from prelims point of view. As you all must be aware of the fact that in coming year, UPSC is going to come up with the notification on 10th of February 2021. So it is already declared by UPSC that they will be coming up with a notification of next year's prelims on 10th of February 2021. And the date of exam has already been declared, and that is 27th of June 2021. Keeping these targets or keeping this in mind, those who are planning to give the next attempt, maybe it is your third attempt, maybe it is your last attempt, maybe it is your first attempt, but of course, whenever one plans to give an attempt, there needs a precise and very well defined preparation. Dear friends, we are actually going to make a plan for you all, and accordingly we are going to execute it in 100 days. We will be ensuring that there is thorough teaching as well as coverage of syllabus, so that you won't find any area in your preparation wherein you are not confident as such. So with this particular note, we should be starting with our first webinar today. I'll let you know what is the topic of today's webinar. Dear friends, today Bhushan Patil sir will be speaking on the test series and its significance, particularly from the point of view of prelims. So the title of today's webinar is Test Series Being an Indispensable Companion in the Preparation for Prelims. So test series, as you all must be knowing, plays very crucial role, right? So Bhushan Patil sir would be discussing things in detail, and I would like to now hand over the session to Bhushan Patil sir. Sir, could you please continue now?
Thank you, Pranab Patil, sir. Thank you. My name is Bhushan Patil, teacher of Unique Academy. Friends, I welcome all of you in this series of webinar. This is the first lecture of this webinar series. So today, I will give you brief analysis of UPSC questions and our UPSC film test series. So while giving this analysis, first of all, I will start with the UPSC question analysis. Means the type of question UPSC is asking, number of questions UPSC is asking in each topic. Then the type of questions we tackle, or the type of skill we require to tackle different questions in actual UPSC examination. So first of all, we will analyze UPSC questions, means their types, then number of questions, and after that the actual questions. How we can deal with these questions, that I will discuss first. And after that, I will discuss how we have designed our test series to tackle these different questions of UPSC, or how to suit our test series, or how to make our test series compatible with the actual UPSC question. So which efforts we are taking in that test series, that I will explain later on. So first of all, analysis of UPSC question, then our own analysis. Means after that you can judge means how much efforts we are taking to bring this test series very closer to actual UPSC questions. So let's start with the type of questions. I will share one slide. With that slide, you will understand it, and in between you can also share your questions. Okay. So this is, first of all, we'll see this slide. Now everyone, you can see this slide here. UPSC pre-question type analysis is given. UPSC pre-question type analysis means what? These are the types of questions or categories of question UPSC is asking. I have divided these categories into 8 segments. Means 8 categories. You can see here category number 1, that is match the pairs. In match the pairs, actually in 2018, 19 and 20, you can see number of questions which are asked by UPSC. There are around 5 to 6 questions UPSC is asking under the match the pair section. Means any test series which is setting match the pair question on this line, you can say at least in setting question types that is closer to UPSC question papers or UPSC actual test or paper taken by the UPSC. So this is the match the pair section. And second, two statements. This UPSC gives you two statements, that is statement 1 and statement 2. And in option UPSC asks you which of the above statements are correct. That is statement 1, means only 1 is correct, only 2 is correct, both or neither, 1 nor 2, in this way. You can see here in 2018, 70 questions were asked by UPSC. Then again 2019, 12 questions were asked by UPSC. Means so proportion was around 12 to 17 questions on this two statement question. But you can see in 2020, means in the previous UPSC examination, previous UPSC prelim paper, UPSC asked only 6 questions under this category. Means what? These are simple type of questions which are reduced by UPSC. Means previously UPSC used to ask 12 to 17 questions, but this year UPSC asked, means last year, UPSC asked only 6 questions under this category. So we will also maintain this proportion in our test series. Then you can see type number 3 and 4. So you can see here type number 3 first we will see. Type number 3 means 3 statements. I have categorized it into 3 statements. Statement 1, statement 2, and statement 3. And in option UPSC asks us which of the above statements are correct, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 3, etc. So here this is slightly lengthier question. Means these are slightly difficult question than the only two statement questions. Means statement 1, 2 question. So here you see the proportion that 12 to 70 question UPSC asked in 2018 and 2019, and 2020 UPSC maintained the same proportion. Means 22 to 28. That is the proportion of number of questions which is asked under the segment of 3 statement questions. Then this type number 4 and 5 you can see. In type number 4 and 5, you can read here. So these 4 and 5 categories I have taken as a simple ABCD type of question. So UPSC asks you, give you particular statement, consider the following statement, or which of the following statement is correct regarding that particular issue. Suppose regarding non-cooperation movement, regarding the fundamental rights, regarding the DPSP, etc. And they give you ABCD. In ABCD type of questions, there are again 2 categories, or I have divided it into 2 categories. That is long statement and small statements. Means simple ABCD type of question, long statement, you can see 4th number option, long statement, and 5th number category, that is a small statement. Means these are simple ABCD type of questions, but again it is divided into long statement and small statement or even words. So this proportion you can see in 2018 and 19, this proportion was around 45 plus minus. Means in 2019 UPSC asked around 40 to 50 questions under this category, and 2018 around 42 to 45 questions are asked under this category. But you can see in 2020 UPSC asked around only 40 questions under this category. Means number of questions which are asked under the ABCD category are also reduced. So you can notice here one thing, category 2nd you can see, and category 4, 5 you can see. Under category 2 also with simple 2 statements, and those questions that are reduced, plus ABCD type of questions are also reduced by the UPSC. Means UPSC is going towards more difficult type of questions. It means I'm not talking in terms of content, I'm talking in terms of setting of questions. So here you can see question in type 2, 6 question only from 12 to 17 question, and in 4, 5 almost 40 question only from around 45 to 50 questions. Now where actually these questions are increased, or this number of questions are increased by UPSC. In which category? You can directly see the 7 category. You can see 7 category. These are the 4 statement type of questions. Which statement 1, 2, 3, 4. And in option, UPSC can ask you like option A, 1, 2, 3, option B, 2, 3, 4, or again 1, 3, 4 in this way. So these are more difficult questions. So already 2 statement question, 3 statement question, and 4 statement and option type of question. So here, this 7 category you can see in the 2018 and 19, UPSC asked only around 3 to 9 questions, means 5 plus minus question that you can say. But you can see, you can notice here a major difference in 2020, 17 questions. 17 question on this category, under this category, means 4 statement, 1, 2, 3, 4, and after that ABCD. Means that paper becomes more lengthy. You need more thinking process because one option is already added there. In category second, suppose those questions which are reduced here, so these questions are added into category 7. Means instead of 2 statement, now UPSC is asking 4 statement in those questions, means difficulty level increase, lengthiness of that paper increase. Same is under the ABCD, suppose those questions are also reduced and they are increased here. It's almost 10 questions, or we can say 10 to 13, 14 questions are increased under this category. So UPSC paper is becoming more lengthy. And category 8 is simple, that is just sequence. Only one question is asked in last 3 years. And category number 6 that you can see, category 6, 5 to 6 small words are given in the statements. These type of questions are generally asked in current events, in geography paper, in ecology paper, that which of the following are included under particular environment act. Then they give you options. Or which of the following are endangered animals, plants, species, anything UPSC can ask you. So that category is actually I have included into this 6 number. So this number of questions are around 4 to 6. So you can see in 2020, these questions are also asked 6 questions. In 2019, these were only there was only 1 question. So here also number of questions are increased compared to 2018. Also, this number of questions under this category are increased. So we can conclude here the number of questions which are lengthy are increasing. So that is increasing difficulty level by UPSC. Means it is becoming more challenging. So this is first thing. This which type of questions are asked by UPSC. So you can just see this question type analysis. And friends, at the Unique Academy, our team, we all faculty members are trying to maintain this proportion in actual test series. Means you will feel you will get the same feeling of UPSC examination in terms of lengthiness of the paper, in terms of challenging while selecting the particular option. So this is the one thing. Now second thing, number of questions which are asked by UPSC. Now that slide also I will share here. So you can see here again, UPSC pre number of questions. Okay. The topic wise questions are given here. You can see here, we have divided these topics into number of subtopics like history, again history, that ancient medieval one part, then modern Indian history, art and culture. Means the whole history part is divided into 3 categories. Then geography part is divided again in 3 categories. That is world geography, Indian geography, and ecology. That you can see here. Means first part is history part, second geography part, and after that Indian economy. Again, Indian economy and social development, we are divided into 2 parts, Indian economy and social development. Then after that, Indian polity, science and technology, and miscellaneous. I will talk specifically about these miscellaneous questions after sharing this slide. I will show you the miscellaneous type of questions also, and which type of efforts we are taking to set this miscellaneous type of question. That also we'll discuss here. So friends, you can see this proportion. So here we have given heading here average number of questions. Average, I'm saying. Means there is not fixed number UPSC is asking question on each subtopic. But suppose history, that is ancient and medieval history. So UPSC is asking around, we can say 6, 7 to 10, 11 question under this topic. So I have taken average. So plus minus 2, you can actually consider that number of questions are asked under these subtopics. Like suppose ancient and medieval, 8 questions are asked. Modern Indian history, around 6 questions are asked. Again, art and culture, only 4 questions are asked. World geography, 2 questions are asked. In this way, you can see here. So more number of questions are asked under the ecology part and Indian economy part. So why this analysis we are providing, where we are presenting in front of you? Because you can decide your priorities of studies. Means which topics you will read first, to which topics you will give more importance. Like suppose art and culture. In art and culture, if suppose there are only 4 questions UPSC is asking, around we can say 3 to 6 then, plus minus 2 that we can consider. So if 4 to 6 questions UPSC is asking on art and culture, and on Indian economy, UPSC is asking 16 questions. Again, on ecology, sometime 11, 12 to even 15, 16 questions are asked only on ecology part by UPSC. Then we can give more time, more weightage of our studies to this ecology part and Indian economy part. Means we can decide our priorities of studies. You see, generally we give less time to ecology part. We give less time to Indian economy part because these are not the standard, we can say, subjects. Ready-made material is less easily available like Indian economy. It is slightly scattered. Because you will have to search information for this topic from budget, from economic survey, from different class notes, from current events. You will have to develop your own logic. So people give less importance to these questions or to these topics. So through this analysis, you can understand that weightage of these questions. And we will maintain this weightage in actual comprehensive test. In the same proportion, we will set question in actual comprehensive test. And this will give you an idea about the priority we will give to each topics. Now here again questions are divided into basic question and difficult question. That also I will discuss with you when I will share you the slide of our test series planning. But first of all, you can just go through these different sections or these different subjects and number of questions asked under these topics. Let's say, or suppose take example, Indian polity. In Indian polity, UPSC is asking you 13 questions. So 13 questions means sometimes UPSC has asked just 8 or 9 questions. And in 1 year, I think in 2018, if I'm not wrong, around 19 to 20 questions were asked only on Indian polity. Just imagine 1/5 questions were asked only from the one section, almost 20 questions. So if you are very strong in Indian polity, then this question, this actually that paper may be for you or that exam may be for you. But again, Indian polity questions are divided so that I will show you. So we'll try to cover whole syllabus of each subject. That's why we have divided these topics again into subtopics while setting question papers or while setting test series. So that also I will share with you. I will show you here how we are setting this test series. So this was second type of analysis of UPSC actual question papers. So first we saw the type of question UPSC is asking. Second, the number of questions UPSC is asking under these topics. You can see current event. Even though current event is suppose here around 9 to 10 questions, but this current event is overlap with some subject like current event plus ecology, current event plus polity, current event plus miscellaneous part. So that part is overlapped here. So miscellaneous question means what? GK question means what? So sometime UPSC asks some questions which are difficult to categorize under a particular subject, like suppose geography, polity, history, in this way. So it is difficult to categorize these questions. I will show you example of this miscellaneous type of question. Means you can understand exactly miscellaneous type of question means what. You can see this slide here. So here are some questions I have taken from the film examination 2020. These are 4 questions. I haven't given here answer or options because our aim here is to understand the type of question UPSC is asking and what should your approach towards the study. In our prelim batch, you will get this approach. In the test series, we'll try to develop this approach or the skill set which are required to solve UPSC prelim paper. I will talk about those skill sets also. When I will talk about the questions, when I will take questions, I will talk about those skill sets also. So you can see here these 4 questions. These are just examples, specimens. That miscellaneous type of question means exactly what. You can see here one question which is asked in 2020 prelim examination with reference to Indian elephants. Consider the following statement. So Indian elephants, about Indian elephants, where we read it in newspaper, where we read it sometimes suppose in geography, sometimes in ecology. But you see the type of question asked by UPSC. Suppose statement fourth statement you can see. Among the states in India, highest elephant population is in Kerala. Suppose this is related with ecology part, flora, fauna, then again the animal species. Under this category, this may come under your reading. This type of statement you might have read. This type of information you might have read through newspapers. But UPSC is going beyond it. UPSC is asking information, conceptual clarity, certain analysis behind this information. This UPSC is going beyond the just information type of questions. Which it is challenging our brain or challenging our that curiosity. So we should be curious enough to understand the information concept, logic, or the analysis behind that information. So here you can see statement first now. The leader of the elephant group is a female. So when you are reading, suppose uh, population of elephants in Kerala, so elephant, suppose that issue comes in front of you. So you should be that curious student to find out, to raise question in your mind. So UPSC may ask which type of question under this elephant category. Are there different type of or we can say the different categories of elephant itself, or is there any information I'm getting regarding different aspects of elephant? So they are asking us the leader of the elephant group is female, yes or no? The maximum gestation period can be 22 months. So biological part that shall come in your mind. Then an elephant can normally go on calving till the age of 40 years only. Now here these are different information or analysis or logic or concept behind that particular statement. This type of question UPSC is asking nowadays as this type of category is increasing. So this category or to this category, we have given name of miscellaneous type of questions and GK questions. So GK question you already know. So in our team, in the Unique Academy, we are trying to set this type of question also. You can see our schedule of test series. We can see our plan of test series. So in one test, we have devoted half test to only miscellaneous type of question. So we have considered this is as a separate category, like your history, polity, geography part. So our whole team will try to develop miscellaneous type of question. We will pick up statements from newspaper, from the history, geography, polity, or different actually subjects or SND, and we'll try to bring different statements surrounding that information, and we'll try to set question on that topic, so that it will give you platform or idea or clue to study that part further. Or you will get an idea that the extended question, how UPSC can ask extended question on that information. So we are taking specialized effort to set this miscellaneous type of questions also. And when you will see in 2020, these are more questions. Means UPSC asks more question under this category. So this question cannot be, we can say, included under only one category. Means under in this question you cannot say this is purely on the ecology part. Ecology plus the other information related with it. So another question you can see, second question, in the rural road construction, this question is asked, and this question is about the environmental sustainability part. Here you can see. So this is again on the ecology, environmental sustainability, but here they are relating this environmental sustainability with the road construction here, and they are asking us that in rural road construction, the use of which of the following is preferred for ensuring environmental sustainability. So here again you can see the type of question. So 1, 2, 3, 4 statement, that is the 4 statement type of question. This is the 6th category. Just now I showed you. UPSC gives you small 5 to 6 options, and out of these options UPSC asks you the answer, like in A 2, 3, 4, 5, or in B like in B 1, 3, 4, 6 in this way. So here 5, you can say, statements or small words are given by UPSC. So this is one thing. This is a category, but here you can see Again, I will call it as a miscellaneous type of question. Why? Because in environment, we don't study this information that the type of material is used in the road construction. So when you can use, read this information. So generally, when we read newspaper, so while reading newspaper, sometime particular statement may be given under that news that in this way we are constructing road construction, and because of this is related or this is useful for the sustainable environment, or this is environment friendly material. So as a student, sometimes you may not notice this type of information in the newspaper, but as our experienced faculty or teachers or faculty, they are already experienced in all the subjects. So experienced faculty may notice this type of clues from newspapers. And from these clues, actually, we will try to set up miscellaneous type of question. Here they are asking us or giving us the name of this material like copper slag, coal mix asphalt technology, or hot mix asphalt technology. So here again in this type of question, suppose if you have a sense of or you have developed logic to solve questions, so you will notice here that coal mix and here hot mix asphalt technology means in Marathi you can say the dambar to open. So here cold and hot mix. So obviously when there is a hot mix, there will be more fumes. When we are heating it, there will be fumes and it will be environmentally dangerous. It will pollute environment. So by logic also, hot mix asphalt will be dangerous and cold mix asphalt will be more environmental friendly. So we can eliminate here this option. And after that, the copper slag, the geotextile, etc., that you can take later on. But again, I will categorize this under the miscellaneous category because you cannot say that this topic is asked under the science and technology and environment. They have taken clue from the environment and they are bringing another statement under that you can say information. Same is question number 3 here. Material steel slag can be material for which of the following? No, steel slag. Where you will use actually under which category you will include this question? S&T or science and technology? Sorry, environment or current events? Because in current event there is no specific information of current event here. No specific event is asked here. So they are asking is general actually question. So here you can say GK question or a miscellaneous type of question. So this category also actually we are including in the paper. So same is biochar farming is asked by UPSC. Last year actually biochar farming question is asked by UPSC. So this is on the agricultural part. So we have actually faculty from all fields of or these questions are asked from the miscellaneous type of category questions. Okay. So I showed you this type means miscellaneous type of question means exactly what, and we will try to set up question under this category. So that also I will show you. After that, when we solve question paper, in solving question paper, how we should approach to the different question, how UPSC is asking question, that I will discuss here with the help of some question. So you can see here some logic also. So some of you might have studied Indian polity part. So generally when we start UPSC preparation, either we start with the modern Indian history or we start with the Indian polity. Most of the students, they pick up Lakshmikant's book and they start reading Indian polity part. That's why just for the sake of convenience and all will understand this question. That's why I have picked up certain questions from the polity questions. So I will show you those questions. First of all, just let me see the numbers. You can see here question number 2, right? This question number 2 is in front of you. That is Rajya Sabha has equal powers with Lok Sabha in. Now here question is about the powers of Rajya Sabha and powers of Lok Sabha. Now here this question is asked on the basic information or basic conceptual clarity about the polity topics. Those who are clear in the concepts, logic behind those concepts, they can easily solve this even though they don't know the information, they don't remember the information. I will give you a clue that when you prepare these topics, how you shall prepare this topic. Now suppose one student will just read the information. He will just mug up that information that Rajya Sabha has these special rights or These are the powers or rights which are not available to Rajya Sabha regarding to certain bills. So this is just information. You just see logic behind it. Now here under this question you can see that Rajya Sabha has equal power with the Lok Sabha. So where Rajya Sabha may have a special power that you can say, suppose amending the constitution you are saying. In amending the constitution, if that suppose Rajya Sabha has a less power and Lok Sabha has a more power, then what may happen? The political party which is in a power, which has formed the government, which is having the majority. Obviously, government means that party may have a majority or the coalition may have a majority. So they can change the constitution according to their own ideology. But Rajya Sabha is represented by different political parties and states also. There is different combination many times. So to make constitutional amendment difficult, logically, logically, there shall be equal powers to Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha in amendment of the constitution. So this is a logic. Instead of remembering this fact that in the amendment of the constitution, Rajya Sabha will have an equal power with the Lok Sabha. So just don't remember this fact. So just see logic behind this fact. I have already told by Praveen sir, Praveen Patil sir, that we will discuss taste. After each test, two teachers, two faculty members will discuss our test. In that discussion, we will not just give you information about that answer, but we will tell you logic also, by which logic you can go to the conclusion, you can go to the answer. So here suppose removal of the government. Now this is straightforward in a parliamentary form of government. Government comes from where? Parliamentary form. That is, government is coming from the parliament. The political party or the coalition having majority in the parliament is forming the government. So there is no role of the Lok Sabha. If there is no role of the Rajya Sabha in forming the government, why there should be role of the Rajya Sabha in reviewing the government? Everyone knows that no confidence motion is introduced in the Lok Sabha. You must know this. This is the basic information. So obviously this will not be an answer. Then cut motion. Suppose this is a specific. This is related with budget. So presently I will not actually talk about this cut motion, but at least this C option you can eliminate. Then matter of creating new all India services. So all India services means you are creating services, means center is creating services which will work in states. This is the concept. So if this authority is completely given to Lok Sabha, then what may happen? Center may create more all India services which will create their dominance over the states. IS officer, IPS officer means what? Actually, they are appointed by the center government and they're working with the state government, working with state, I'm saying, but appointed by the center. Disciplinary action on the all India civil servants are taken by the center. This is logic actually. So in this scenario, if Rajya Sabha has no power, suppose no more power, then what may happen? Lok Sabha means center may create, government may create more all India services and states' rights may hamper. So under this category, Rajya Sabha must have more power. So again here it's a not equal power. Rajya Sabha has a more power, recommendatory power, initiation power. So again this logic, but here you need suppose slight information plus logic. So in this way, logically you can solve this question. So amendment of the constitution, again, this is a simple thing that amendment will try to make more difficult. More difficult means we'll give equal power to Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha in amendment. If only Lok Sabha has a power, then it will be a simple process. So this is pure logic. Then question number 4, you can see here, which of the following categories of fundamental right incorporates protection against untouchability as a form of discrimination? You can see this question. Now, when you prepare fundamental rights, many students they directly mug up the articles of fundamental rights. Subpart under those articles. Before going on to the article, just you close your eyes and try to categorize fundamental rights. Can you see the categories of fundamental rights? Why these names are given to these categories? And which fundamental rights may come under that category? Just you can just imagine. This is actually always when I teach to students, I always tell them that Vachan, Chintan, Manan, these are the 3 steps of study which are given in Marathi. In Marathi, we always say that Vachan, Chintan, and Manan, these are the 3 steps of any study, or should be steps of any study. So when you read it, after reading, you go on the analysis part, chintan kara. Why actually these categories are divided, or why particular article, particular fundamental right may come, shall come under this category. So this will change your preparation method, the way you are preparing it. So here these categories are given: right against exploitation, right to freedom, right to constitutional remedies, and right to equality. Now suppose untouchability. So untouchability means what? Untouchability is a discrimination, or it is your freedom. Suppose there are two persons, person A and person B. So when person A is not touching the person B or not taking any part which is touched by person B, so here there is no question of freedom of person B. This is about the discrimination. So discrimination already here, what is given? Discrimination. So to reduce discrimination, which type of category should be there? Equality. When there is a equality, there will be no discrimination. You can see here equality. This is the right answer. Exploitation. So I'm not touching anyone. It doesn't mean that I'm exploiting that person, or someone is not touching me. It doesn't mean that actually that person is exploiting me. So definitely by name itself, you can say that this untouchability part means protection against the untouchability part, that is included in the fundamental rights, not in the, or cannot be included under the category of exploitation. Or right to freedom. I already told you, freedom means I shall have freedom to write something. I shall have freedom to speak something. I shall have a right of my life, right to live. Right. So these are categories we can, or these are the fundamental rights you can include under the right to freedom. Then constitutional remedies means your particular right is hampered, then you can go directly in judiciary and can ask for the remedy. So this is a conceptual clarity. So this some questions are asked on conceptual part. So when you prepare, you must clear your concept. So in our test series, why I'm telling you this? I'm telling you actually on which background we are setting question, how we will discuss these questions or questions set by us in discussion. So we have divided our test series into two parts. First is the basic or conceptual part, and second, that is the applied part. Just 1 minute. Sorry. So we are dividing our test series also and means two categories, basic and advanced category. So these are some questions. Again, we'll see question number 5. I will show you 6-7 questions so that you will understand how you should approach to this question. What should be your, you can say, the strategy or logic, how you can develop logic to solve this question. Now in India, separation of judiciary from the executive is enjoyed by. Now separation of judiciary from the executive. First of all, you must know the certain principles like misconcept. Separation of powers means what? Division of powers means what? When I ask question to student, like in federation, there are separation of powers or there is separation of power concept or division of power concept. So student confused between separation of power and division of power. In federation, there is actually means division of power. We are sharing power. Center and state, they are sharing power. Some subjects are given to center, some subjects are given to states only, and some subjects are concurrent, means state and center. So in federation, there is actually division of power, and this separation of power, separation of judiciary, then executive, legislature, etc. So this is about the checks and balance system. So you will just find out what can be a possible answer only on the basis of logic. Here I'm not talking on the basis of information. Is what you remember. I'm not talking on that terms. It's just conceptually how you can solve questions, how you can reach to the conclusion. Like suppose conventional practice. Now we know that separation of judicial and executive is an important part, important principle. You know that our Indian constitution is the lengthiest constitution, more elaborate constitution. We have included each and every detail under the constitution so that no one will actually misinterpret it, no one can exploit it. no one can use or take the undue advantage of the missing part under the constitution. So convention म्हणजे काय परंपरा just चालत आलेले. There are certain conventions in UK, but in our society still we have not reached up to that stage where on the conventions only we can practice the right things. So it is not possible that important concept like separation from judiciary we will include under the convention category, or just on the basis of conventions we will implement this separation of judiciary from the executive. So definitely not. So first of all, we can eliminate this. Definitely this cannot be an answer. Now 7th schedule. Now there are 12 schedules. When we prepare schedules, at least 7th schedule, 9th schedule, 10th schedule, and 11th, 12th schedule. These are very important schedules which everyone must know. Like 9th schedule, it was a special category to include certain acts. 10th schedule, anti-defection. 11, 12, they are regarding to the local self-government, included by the 73rd and 74th Amendment Act. Same way, this about 7th schedule is about the 3 lists: union list, state list, and concurrent list. So here also, when we are giving list, 3 lists: union list, state list, and concurrent list, this is not about the separation of judiciary and executive. This is about the division of power between center and states. So here, instead of separation of judiciary from executive, if you should have given here division of power between center and state, then this was the correct. So schedule was correct. So this is also not the answer. Now you have two options: preamble and the DPSP. And consider you don't know the information. Now you have to give logic. You have to develop logic. Logically, you have to reach to the conclusion. So preamble. So first thing, when you read preamble, preamble is just the brief introduction of the overall constitution. The प्रस्तावना आपण एखादं पुस्तक असतं. तर what is exactly written in that book is given under the that preface, or you can say under the preamble. So this is the overall, you can say, the idea about the constitution is given under the preamble. Preamble talks about the ideals and objective of the constitution. So here specific power or specific, we can say, rights, specific articles are not given under the preamble. Everyone knows when you do prelim examination, I always advise to student, just remember the whole preamble. If you know the whole preamble, don't read anything for the preamble after that. Just give your logic and solve the question. You can solve each and every question under the preamble heading if you remember the whole preamble. Don't read anything. Don't read Lakshmikant. Don't read notes. Just your applied mind and the whole preamble that you know. You will find that nowhere specific articles are given, and where the separation of judiciary will be given, judiciary from executive will be given, it will be given in particular article. This is logic. So just on the basis of logic, if I'm solving question, so I will first eliminate this conventional practice, then 7th schedule. If I know the information, if I know the important schedules, and after that, if I am confused between preamble and DPSP, I will write about the DPSP. When I don't know the basic or the precise information, you can see that as a polity teacher, sorry, as a polity teacher, I know that this is given in Article 50, separation of judiciary from the executive. That is a different thing. But I'm giving you logic. I'm not thinking on the basis of information. I'm showing you. I'm actually telling you how I'm reaching to the conclusion, how I'm eliminating this option. So same way in a discussion or in test series, we will discuss question on this logic or in this way. The next question, suppose question number 6. Now again, this is a very interesting question. This is a very interesting question. So this analysis is important. Today we are talking about the test series part, which the test series we are launching here. So that test series information means the format, design, how we are constructing it. So you will believe on that part only when you know the type of efforts we are taking behind it. When you know the type of logic we have, the type of analysis we have before that test series we are setting. So I'm showing you that logic, that logic we know, and on the basis of that logic we are trying to set question paper, plus on the basis of that same logic we will try to teach you in the discussion how to reach to the conclusion. Or in the regular lectures also, or faculty members, they may give you different type of clues or the strategy to tackle particular questions. Now here question is slightly lengthy question. Everyone can read this question and I will show you. How just on the basis of logic you can reach to the conclusion. Now, along with the budget, finance minister also places the other documents, right? Other documents, keyword other documents before the parliament, which include the macroeconomic. Now, macroeconomic, this is a term that generally we know when we prepare for UPSC examination, macroeconomics, not micro, macroeconomics. Framework statement, the aforesaid document is presented because this is mandated by. Means when budget is presented by the finance minister in front of parliament, before the parliament, then with that budgetary document, which other documents are presented by the finance minister. Now about the budget part, you know that this is a dynamic part. Budget is a dynamic thing. You see that budget types are changing. Recently, we're talking about the gender budget. We're talking about the performance budget, target based budget. Previously, means 50 years before, there used to be very simple budget, a simple format that it is called line item budget. Means suppose item one amount required, item two like in our grocery list, we make a list and price in front of it. Same way, type of work government is doing and the cost in front of it, which type of or the expected expenditure in front of it. Simple way, government used to present the budget. So first of all, we'll think logically that other documents means there can be many documents and these documents may change. Documents may change. That's why, first of all, I will eliminate this constitutional part. If regarding budget, see, regarding the principle, regarding the concepts, UPSC, sorry, Constitution will give you details. Like just now, I told you about the separation of executive from judiciary, separation of power. This is a concept. So this will be given, or you just think if you are a member of Constituent Assembly of that member of the team, or you are understanding the basic behind the Constitution, you will also think on the same line that concepts, important things you will include directly in the Constitution under different articles. But this is the dynamic part, changing part. So definitely here it cannot be included under the specific articles. So Article 112 and 113, I will eliminate this first of all, because it is not possible to include such dynamic part in the Constitution. It's a logic. Then now the took A and D, long-standing parliamentary convention, and D, provision of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act 2003. Now here there can be confused. Here I agree. Here there can be confused. But here again, I'm telling you, here again, if you know the changes in Indian economy after liberalization, privatization, globalization, this new economic policy we have adopted. So why there was a new economic policy? Which were the problem? There was a problem of fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit means exactly what? Means fiscal deficit was increasing. That's why there was a more inflation. Inflation is a part of macroeconomy. It's a component of macroeconomy. Inflation rate, mahagai's dar. So it is related with fiscal deficit, means difference between your expenditure and revenue. If revenue is less and expenditure is more. So the budget process, in budget process itself, we decide the expenditure, revenue part, and that the gap we will try to plug with the help of the financing the fiscal deficit. This gap between the expenditure and revenue is called the fiscal deficit. Fisc means government. So government, that expenditure revenue deficit. राजकोषीय, fiscal म्हणजे राजकोषीय, आपण त्याला मराठीमध्ये राजकोषीय म्हणतो. So it's a difference. So here, that was a responsibility of government. In the new economic policy, that was one of the our objective to control the fiscal deficit. So this FRBM Act, definitely it must come in your discussion or in your reading. So in logic, you can think that this fiscal deficit control is one of the objective of, or the major objective we can say, of the FRBM Act. And that fiscal deficit part, you can relate it with the macroeconomic stability framework or macroeconomic. Forget about the statement. Even though you don't know the detail, if you are confused between A and D, so why not long-standing parliamentary convention again? Long-standing parliamentary convention. Yes, that can be a convention, because which documents we can present with the budget. There are certain convention or there can be a convention. But again, if I'm confused between A and D, so I know the specific purpose of FRBM Act. There are certain changes in FRBM Act also. It was in news in last 2 years. So here also we can reach to the conclusion. Okay, so that was another thing. So here it was a beautiful question. Then here same way, question number 9. Again you see, I will show you the beauty of this question. Question number 9. So you can see question number 9 here. In Indian Legal Service Authority provides free legal service. Suppose you are a student, you don't know the detail of free legal service or legal service authorities. Okay, we don't know the information now how to reach to logic. Okay, that we see here. Now here 4 options are given. We'll make it smaller so that whole question we can see. So you can see here all 4 options are given and ABCD it is asked. Now here 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4 in this way question is asked. Means 101%. 2 options are wrong. 101% 2 options are wrong. Now you will give free legal aid to whom? First of all, those who are vulnerable, right? Those who are vulnerable, those who can be discriminated easily, those who may not have a capacity to fight a legal battle. So these persons or these categories can be included under the free legal services category. Just consider you don't have any information about this. So transgender with annual income of less than 2 lakh. So first of all, transgender is a very small community under the whole population. With due respect, I'm saying, I'm not discriminating. I'm saying that to include it under the categorization, it is very small. We can say population wise, the number is very less. And then income level. Again, we all know that income level, just legalization, or we can say that income level, general, we can say in discussion. So it is not possible to include this category and into the detail part. So first of all, I may exclude this, include. So all senior citizens are vulnerable category. Means senior citizen category comes under vulnerable population. Children comes under vulnerable population. Women come under vulnerable category. Then SC and ST community comes under vulnerable category. When you study this vulnerable category, generally on logic also we know that when we discuss the policies for the vulnerable category, there also we take these categories: women, children, SC, ST, and senior citizen, disabled person. So definitely, when we are setting legal service authority, we will include these sections or this section of population under the giving free legal services to them. So here, I will first of all consider that 4 is the answer. So 4 means only B and C can be answer. 3, 4 and 1, 4 means definitely 2 is not here. So 2 is not here means here, okay, there is no question of 2. Now, I know that 2 is not the option, 4 is the option. Now, I'm confused between option first and 3. Person with annual income of less than 1 lakh and member of OBC category with annual income of less than 3 lakh. So already in reservation also for OBC category, there is a creamy layer criteria. So creamy layer population or creamy layer class from the OBC category will not get the benefit of reservation. Non-creamy layer, non-creamy means the category of people whose income is less than the given criteria. So that is just for the reservation. And again, when we are talking about the legal service, so the poor person, which to include poor person is the most important thing. Poorest of the poor person, the most important thing. With SC, ST, OBC, you always see that when we give different facilities, okay, or protection, definitely there is a difference between SC, ST and OBCs. More protection is given to SC, STs compared to OBC because we consider SC, ST more vulnerable than women, children more vulnerable. I'm just telling you the categories. Schemes are also developed on the basis of this vulnerability category. Our protection is also provided on the basis of this vulnerability category to bring the equality. So again, by logic, if I'm solving this question, I will give preference to this category 1, not to category 3. I will not go like Akkad Bakkad Bombay go. Asa nahi jana. Because here I have logic. So I will apply that logic here. So 1 and 4 is answer according to me. And you can see this is answer here. See how we are solving this question when we don't know the information. When we haven't read these topics or just some small part of this question we know. Then actually how we can tackle this question. I'm talking about those skill sets. I'm talking about those logics. Right? So in this way, this suppose question number, some questions again we discuss. Polity question I am selected deliberately. Parliamentary system of government is the one in which question number 11 you can see. Parliamentary form of government. Now, first of all, you must know the difference between parliamentary form of government and presidential form of government. Why parliamentary form of government is called parliamentary form of government? That government is coming from where? I will show you here one option. Parliamentary form of government is one in which government is elected by the people and can be removed by them. So in India, we have a parliamentary form of government. Everyone knows this. When you are giving prelim examination, you must know this. This is the basic thing of polity, basic concept of polity. It's a parliamentary form of government, right? In parliamentary form of government, we elect our representative. Okay, this thing actually will take later on. First of all, you say that can we remove government? Definitely not. We cannot remove government. Government is removed by the parliament. Government is removed by the Lok Sabha, not directly by the people. There is no connection between the parliamentary system of government, parliamentary form of government, and removal of government by the people. Because we have parliamentary form of government, we don't have direct right to remove the government. Once we have actually selected government, means after voting, government is selected. I'm not using specific words because there is meaning to those words also in the polity. But just about the removal, you say we don't have direct role in the removal of government, right? Now, second, in the forming of government also, you see, as a citizen, we don't have a direct role in the forming of government, in selecting government. We don't directly elect the government. We elect our representative, and our representative elect government, or they form government. Not we are forming government. I will give you the recent example of the Maharashtra's election. You see, in Maharashtra election, there was a coalition between BJP and Shiv Sena, and Rashtrawadia and Congress. So these were the two coalitions. So obviously for us, what was the choice? That either we will vote for the government of BJP Shiv Sena or we will vote for the government of Rashtrawadia or Congress. Means our mandate was either side, that you can say. Okay. 1 minute, actually, it is discharging. Sorry, friends, that was discharging. Okay, so here we actually voted. So you when you see the coalition number, so majority was on the side of BJP and Shiv Sena. So government choice, so citizen choice was towards the BJP Shiv Sena. If you are talking in terms of choosing government, but what happened? Government is formed by the Rashtrawadhi Congress and the Shiv Sena and Shiv Sena. Means government is formed by the elected representative. They decided who will form the government, not we. Mandate was different. Mandate was for the coalition, not only for the political party, because there was a sharing of seats if you are talking in terms of democracy. But here in parliamentary form of government, government is not directly formed by the by the citizens. Government is formed by the parliament, legislature. Government comes out of the parliament. That is the parliamentary form of government. So this is a concept. So obviously from this concept, I will emulate this. Government is elected by the people, not elected by the people. People elect their representative and representative form the government. But in presidential form of government, people directly elect president candidates. And government comes from the president. In USA, you see, there is a election of president. And president election is separate from the election of legislature in the USA. that is Senate and House of Representatives. That is a different thing. So there, in USA, people, citizens, they elect government, that is, they elect president, and after that, president has a right, power to select any person to become a member of his government. So in USA, government comes from the president. That's why it is called presidential form of government. And here in India or in UK, government comes from the parliament. That's what is called parliamentary form of government. So this is the difference. So this is actually conceptual clarity plus logic. So that you shall develop while preparation, while solving question, and we will try to discuss our test series. We will try to set question on this ground. Definitely, no one can match the UPSC questions, but definitely we are taking efforts to reach that standard. Then all political parties in the parliament are represented in the government. Again, this is very simple option. In India, we have parliamentary form of government. So is it true for India? Are all political parties are all political parties which are part of the parliament are represented in the government? In the government, there is no Congress, no in the central government. There are some political parties which are part of the government, but no Congress, no Rashtrapati, no Samajwadi Party, no Basapa, no TMC. So this is also not option. Everyone knows. Then government is responsible to the parliament and can be removed by it. And the last option, government is chosen by the parliament but cannot be removed by it before the completion of fixed term. A simple logic. Why no confidence motion? Why actually nowadays in Maharashtra also ruling party ministers or members say that opposition is trying to topple down the government. तो सरकार पाडायचा प्रयत्न करतात इन दिस वे ते हमारी सरकार गिराने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. So on this line actually some ruling party members they are talking means fixed term is wrong here. Government can be removed before the completion of the fixed term by the no confidence motion. When that political party or coalition loses majority, it will be removed. So again, this is a wrong here. We haven't seen the right option first. B. Even though you don't know the B, at least the wrong option you can eliminate. Right? In this way, you can develop your logic with how to solve questions. This is the methodology actually in the preparation or solving question or solving the test series. And you shall get the input from test series on this line. Means how we can solve this question, how we can develop the skill sets. Now there are in this way there are different questions. So we will go on the next part on the skill set. So one question again, it was just I'll just show you that question. Then in brief we will discuss our strategy. 1 minute. The 23 number. So 33. One minute. See, you can again see your question. Yes. This is a science and technology question. Again, this is a good question. With reference to visible light communication, VLC technology. Most of you must know the or might know the VLC media player. When you prepare UPSC, try to be curious. Try to find out the meaning behind different acronyms, at least in science and technology. And you see that in science and technology, then in international relation, international organization, because they are related with the basic concepts also. And we get the information about the concepts or the, we can say, the technology behind those words. So VLC technology, again, suppose we don't know anything. I'm just giving you logic. Huh? So here you see in option. Few options are given in every ABCD category. Means only one is wrong, three are correct. So first of all, we'll have to find out the maximum probability of the maximum probability of the correctness of this option. If suppose I am solving this question paper, so suppose first VLC uses electromagnetic spectrum wavelength 375 to 780 nanometers. That measurement unit. I don't know anything that I'm considering. Okay. I don't have any background of this concept topic. I don't know the information that I'm considering. So here, visible light, that is regarding the communication. So in option, they are giving detailed information, 375 to 780, that numbers. In maximum cases, at least in UPSC, I'm not talking about the state public service commissions, but in UPSC will not make changes up to this small level. That is very less probability. If that number is very important, that is different thing. If that is related with concept, even article UPSC generally don't ask. That is a specific thing. But here, I don't think that UPSC will change number in this way 375 to say 780. So I will say that this is correct, 100%. I don't know anything. This is just my logic. That UPSC, now this is my understanding about the train of UPSC question. From solving different questions on UPSC train, then solving actual UPSC different question. I have derived this understanding. Our teachers or faculty members, our team will give you these wisdoms or the strategies that we have find out, or the we can say meaning behind those questions which we have find out by our own experience or efforts. Then this is correct. VLC has no electromagnetic interference. Again, now it is visible light communication. It is used. It is used. Why? Because that can be advantages. So obviously, I may choose this one also. I'm telling you actually how I do, how I reached to the conclusion. Means I thought like a student who is solving question for the first time and don't know the background of that concept. Now there are two options in front of me. VLC is known as a long range of wireless communication and can transmit the large amount of data faster than the Bluetooth. Now I have to choose between the long range and the large amount of data. So first of all, it's a light communication. So definitely, and it's a visible light communication. So in the long range, if it was a useful, so why are we not using this technology in the normal communication? Definitely, there might be a problem in the long range actual communication under this technology. That's why we're not using this technology. That's why we don't know this technology. We don't know the technology which is used for the long range wireless communication, optical wireless communication. Again, I'm just talking like a layman or student who doesn't know the background information. So large amount of data can be a possible option. So definitely, if I have to choose which is more correct or which can be wrong, so I will say long range can be a wrong option, because if this is the correct, then why are not we using this technology? Why we haven't read about this technology? So I will choose that 1, 3, 4 as an option, and 2 I will eliminate. In this question, I told you the different logics, or we can say the skill sets which you required while solving the prelim question paper. Now I will tell you about the, first of all, let's stop. So I will tell you that the skills required to solve UPSC questions, that is, you need the conceptual clarity. After that, you need the logic to reach to conclusion, how to develop logic behind that information. You shall develop that skill set. You shall develop skill of intuition. Intuition means what? That the thing which is coming from your mind and you are believing it. You always see that when we solve questions, actually, and why is, 1 minute, I will enlarge it. When we solve questions, in solving questions, that particular answer comes to your mind first, and after that you logic to it. You find out the logical things and you mark a wrong answer. Again, now this is the difference between logic and intuition. So when you have strong intuition, they don't use logic there. This is a practice. And you see, many times the first thing which comes in your mind, that is a correct. And many students, sir, many students say that, sir, I thought that this is the right answer, but after that I applied logic and I mark a wrong answer. This is true. So how to believe on your intuition? Ultimately, intuition is what? That information is somewhere in your mind. But right now, you cannot clearly remember it. But your mind is giving you signal. Yes, this can be a correct thing. I'll give you a simple example. When you see your old classmate or known person, and when you see it, you don't remember his name, her name. You don't remember that name. After that, you forget it. And after 2, 3 days, or even 4 days, 5 days, you are just eating or taking bath, and that name automatically comes in your mind. Now here you are not trying to remember that name, right? But why actually brain has given that name in front of you? What is the logic behind it? Logic is this one: when you see your that friend, known person, and you ask to your brain, what is the name of this person? Now brain says, yes, I don't know now. It is somewhere inside. I'm searching it. Then brain starts working. That is in subconscious mind at the back end. Our brain works. That is a continuous process. Brain is searching it. Then at the conscious level, you forget it. You involve yourself in your regular working. Then after 2, 3 days, or 4 days, when brain finds that information, brain gives that information to you. My master, take this information. This is the name of that person. And you say, hey, yes, this was the name. Right? Even in the actual examination, you remember answer after the exam. When you go at home, or when suppose your exam is over after 1 hour, you say, hey, this was answer. Why I didn't remember this information in the actual exam? So that is another thing. See how to revise, how to remember facts. That is another thing. But this is the intuition. So how to believe on intuition. So on this thing also we'll discuss in the discussions. At least some of this skill set. Our teachers will try to tell you when they will discuss the different questions of test series. After that, the numerics. Means when there is a lot of information, lot of stuff, so we should have a ability, skill set to prepare mnemonics on those factual data, factual information, and to remember it in a simple manner. Like suppose creation of states, like suppose fundamental duties, fundamental DPSP. Like suppose when I teach, I have prepared certain stories on fundamental duties. I have prepared certain stories, or one story on fundamental rights, one story on the creation of state, means that chronological order. In simple words, like suppose commissions, different commissions, which were appointed, set up by the government in the process of creation of states. I will give you a simple statement, example of mnemonics. So automatically it comes in my mind. I don't remember the whole information. Like I will give you one statement: language la dharun za re baba. So language, those commissions are on the language. This is a Marathi statement. So I prepared certain mnemonics in the Marathi, certain mnemonics in the English. So you are prepare your mnemonics in the language in which you are convenient, or we can say it is easier for you or convenient for you. Language la dharun za dhar. I just do one picture on my notebook, and there I showed one Baba, one stick in his hand, with old man, one stick in his hand, and language धरून जा. म्हणजे language मी ते जे stick होते, I have given name to the stick, that is the language. So Dhar commission is the first commission. Za, that is the JVP commission, Jawahar Vallabhbhai Patel and Pattabhai Sitaramaya commission. That is धरून जा. The Baba, Ali Baba. No, Baba actually I connected with the Ali Baba. I know Ali Baba. That is last commission, Fazl Ali commission. And states were reorganized, or government accepted the recommendation of Fazl Ali commission. And this is a chronological order. I have prepared this mnemonics. You can just search it, search this mnemonics or this chronological order in books also. So ultimately, here you are not writing on the paper. This is objective examination. Just I must remember this information. So I just pack this information in one statement: language la dharun ja re baba. Dhar commission, JVP commission, and Baba, Ali Baba, then Fazl Ali commission. And I remember the whole information, because if you ask question on the recommendation of which commission, State Reorganization Act 1956 was passed, or states were reorganized, or language was considered as a basis. Not the only criteria, but we can say that was accepted. So this is the numerics. So this is also techniques. This is one of the technique of UPSC prelim examination or to tackle the UPSC prelim examination. So this conceptual clarity, then applying logic, then how to believe on your intuition, right? Then how to prepare mnemonics. So this type of skill sets we will try to develop during our discussion. Definitely there is a less scope in the test series, and this part more will be discussed in the regular batch, or the faculty members, regular faculty members of each subject, respective subject, they will talk about these skill sets when they will discuss some questions or factual information, right? So this type of skill sets we'll try to discuss, try to develop during our test series and the batch we are launching now. Now, in brief, I will give you idea about the test series. The test series we are divided into two parts. Now, this slide is in front of you. Basic difficulty level. This is the first phase, and advanced difficulty level. This you can see. This is the advanced difficulty level. This is in front of you. I told you we have divided this test series into two parts: basic difficulty level and advanced difficulty level. You can see in the basic difficulty level, it is divided into these 7 subject-wise tests and these 2 comprehensive tests. I told you basic question means what? We will try to set up questions on the basic concepts of different subjects. So here in every test, we are opening up 2 subjects. Why 2 subjects we are opening up? Because when we open up only one subject, or when students prepare only one subject, we feel monotonous or boring while preparing the topic, or it may create tension that it is taking more time. For that convenience or to ease your pressure, we are dividing it or dividing these topics into 2 sets. So quality first and second, history again 2 parts. Again these types we are divided on the basis of number of questions which are asked. You can see here ecology part, right? Ecology part, ecology 1 and 2. Now ecology questions are most, so in the proportion also in the geography Indian world, means physical geography Indian world and ecology part question paper, there will be more questions on the ecology and less question on the Indian geography. So in this way we have divided this. Plus in every test, now here it is not written, but on 10th of January we'll take June current event, then July current event. In this way, in every test, we will cover current events of months from the June. So till this 7th of March, we'll discuss current events till the month of January. We'll cover basic questions or the questions on the current event also. Right? And here you can see this special category of miscellaneous question. I told you that we have included category of miscellaneous question also. So this is category of miscellaneous question. Here we will try to develop miscellaneous plus GK. Try to develop around 45 questions of this category. It's a difficult task, but as a team, it becomes easier because here we are working as a team. Almost 2 teachers are working behind every subject. There can be overlap part, but in this way, we are trying to bring the perspectives from different teachers because I may have my own perspective. Another teacher, teacher B, teacher C may have their own perspective. In UPSC, we get questions from different perspectives. So here also, we are trying to bring different perspective under our test series so that students will get inputs, analysis from the different analysis. So here, miscellaneous type of questions will be set up by the whole team according to our own subjects, our own, we can say, the teaching part. We can find out the miscellaneous or we can set the miscellaneous type of question. So this is the phase first, 7 tests plus 2 comprehensive tests, 9 tests, and this is a second phase, advanced applied questions, UPSC difficulty level question. You can see here. So same pattern we will repeat in the phase 2 also. Here again, you can see here this 7 test similar to phase first, but here difficulty level will be advanced difficulty level. Difficulty level will be applied, UPSC applied difficulty level or UPSC difficulty level. And here we'll take the 4 comprehensive tests here. Then in comprehensive test, I told you we will keep the proportion as maintained by the UPSC. I showed you that analysis. Number of questions actually under this category also according to the number of questions which are asked by the UPSC. Accordingly, actually, we will devote number of questions to these topics, right? So this is actually the schedule that you will get easily from our website. Plus, on your different groups, the schedule is already shared. You can go through the schedule. After that, the detailed syllabus. Yes, this is a slide for detailed syllabus. I told you suppose polity test first. So this is only one slide. So we have given this syllabus in detailed manner. What is the advantages? What is the advantage of this detailed syllabus? The advantage from both the point of view, from your point of view and from our point of view also. When I am dividing suppose polity syllabus in this way, in detailed manner, then I am compelled to set question on each subtopic. Means on the evaluation of question, salient feature. This is not the constitution; it's the constitutionalism actually. Okay, this is a concept, constitutionalism. Now it is difficult to write here. Preamble. So when we are dividing syllabus in this way, means we have prepared a system. Now system, this is a system. Now this system is compelling us to set question on each and every topic because this is not the actual UPSC test series. Sorry, UPSC exam. This is a test series. These are the classes. We are preparing you to give that UPSC exam or to get success in the UPSC exam. So we must prepare you from all angles. So here in topic wise test, we will cover questions from almost all topics. So one of the feature of our test series is comprehensive coverage of the syllabus. So comprehensive coverage of the syllabus means what? So everyone says, you will say, sir, what is new in this? Miss all says that we are setting questions from the whole syllabus, or there is a comprehensive coverage of syllabus. So comprehensive coverage of syllabus means what? So this example or this evidence is in front of you. So we'll divide syllabus in this way for each subject. This is only one slide. In this way, there are almost 19 pages. For each test, you will get syllabus in this way, detailed syllabus. Same for the basic and advanced test. Okay, so in this way, the syllabus is available on the website also. Once you join it, that you will get that syllabus or the changes. If there are if there are slight changes by a teacher, those changes also we will give here. Why changes? Because we are dynamic. Because nothing is perfect. There is always chance for improvement, and we believe on this. Whenever you will notice, or some student will show that these topics are excluded, are not included under particular section, we will include that topic also, because our aim is first of all to cover the whole syllabus, then the comprehensive test. Now here this already we have discussed that there will be 25 tests. Okay, 20 plus 5 tests, CSAT test. After that, advanced applied level, that also we have discussed. Then intensive discussion on each test. The type of discussion, actually I gave you the example of type of discussion. The way I discuss this question paper, or all faculty members will try to discuss question paper or own test series in that way. Means we will not just repeat the things which are already given in the explanation. It's with the answer sheet, we'll give you detailed explanation of those answers also. But we'll discuss the logic behind the options, or how we reach to the conclusion. Then developing skill set. This also I discuss with you that skill set development means exactly what, how we develop skill sets, or which skill sets you can develop, that I discuss. Then next part, that is about the comprehensive word. Just now I told you that comprehensive word also comprehensive. Why we have written this? Last part, yes, important. All India ranking and progress assessment. Now here, after giving test, we'll try to make a rank or ranking system of students. So why this ranking system? Some students say that this is discrimination. No, this is not discrimination. We must know where we stand in the sample size. Ultimately, in UPSC also they are ranking us. And suppose UPSC wants to select 7,000 students or 8,000 students from lakhs of students. So top 8,000 according to the those categories, UPSC will select us. So we shall get that feeling. It will create pressure on us that we are lagging. Why we are lagging? After this question arises, then you can discuss with us, with our faculty members, mentors. Suppose you are given 2, 3 tests or 4 tests and consistently your score is less. You can find out your score is less because of less study, because of less conceptual clarity, or you are preparing it since last 1 year, 2 year, 1 year or 2 years, but you don't have developed the skill sets which required to solve these objective question papers or objective questions. So to that analysis, you will get input. So assessment means progress assessment means why your colleagues are getting more marks, what are their strengths or strengths of some successful students. We will also try to develop those strengths or at least try to tell you that these things are needed and these are your lacunas or this is your strong point. I always see that some people that are very strong in, suppose I'm just giving you an example, polity. If they are strong enough in polity, even then when they start study, they pick up Lakshmikant book and start reading it again. You can just ask question to yourself, how many times you have read the Lakshmikant book and how many times you have read the ecology book or the Indian economy book. Just compare it. You can compare it when you will see, suppose 20 times you have read the Lakshmikant guide, only 3 or 4 times or 2 times you have read the ecology book. Some people start reading ecology after the January, February or March even. But polity, they start with the polity part. So we can tell you, don't actually read the part again and again in which you are strong enough. Just believe yourself and divide your time according to your strengths and weakness in particular subject. In this way, this assessment will help you. This analysis we have already discussed. So friends, this was all about our test series, then type of questions. In the initial, when we started this session, so initially itself I told you that I will discuss this lecture in 2 parts, that analysis of UPSC questions and after that analysis of our test series, right? Today's focus, today's topic is about the test series. That's why I'm concentrating myself only on the test series part or the UPSC factual or this objective question part, the prelim objective question part. So I told you we discuss the UPSC question types, number of questions under each subject, then the questions which are already asked by UPSC, how we can tackle those questions, then miscellaneous type of question means exactly what. After that, I told you that this analysis we have and we are working on our test series on the basis of that analysis. Everyone actually, our classes, they give their best. I'm also telling you to which things, which efforts we are taking here. So these are efforts in front of you. After that, the way we are setting our test series or the way we have designed our test series, that also I have explained you. So friends, I hope that you might have got certain inputs from this discussion, different ideas regarding test series, regarding the UPSC questions from this lecture or the first session of this web series. So I give you best of luck for prelim examination. Request you, if you want to know the more about the batch that we are launching specifically for the prelim examination or about the test series, you can call on the numbers given different given on our website or different Telegram channel of Unique Academy. The numbers are given. You can call on those numbers. You will get information about this batch and you can get information about the test series also. So I hope that this was a nice session for you also. This was nice for me. Obviously, I'm taking effort, so this was nice for me. So I give you all the best for upcoming prelim examination and for your future. So thank you everyone, all of you. Thank you, e-learning department.
Subscribe the Unique Academy's YouTube channel and press the bell icon for latest updates and videos.